selected. So we'll get to that part in a minute. The next part is going to involve a little bit of back and forth between the IMS and QuickBooks. So we're going to need to set up accounts and items in your IMS that will match the ones in your QuickBooks. So I'm going to go to the system profile here. Okay, and the second section in your system profile is going to be called Tax and QuickBooks Integration Settings. One you're going to have to make sure you check off is this one called Enabled QB Item Management. You're always going to make sure that that one is ticked off. If you've been working with the contract generator at all, you'll notice that there will be items here already. So we have set up sales tax for our contract. You just need to make sure you set up which ones are for QuickBooks as well. So for the QuickBooks, I'll also call it sales tax. You just want to scroll down a little bit at this point until you get to the part here where it says QuickBooks items and QuickBooks account names. What you need to do here is essentially match the same names you have in QuickBooks with the IMS, even if you have to create new accounts. So I'll start with the items. I'm going to need to make an item called discount, an item called newspaper notice, item called subtotal, and an item called down payment. And these are all used for when you're pushing a contract. Let me just go into my QuickBooks here, and I'll go into the items and services section of your QuickBooks. You can feel free to make it full screen. And to add new items, to just come down to the item at the bottom left, and we're going to go new. So the first one I'll make is discount, and you'll notice that the type automatically loads the drop down, and a few of the types are going to be the ones that we're adding today. So I'm going to click on discount, and I'm going to call the item name discount. For certain types of items or accounts, you may have to describe a sub-account. So for example, with discount, I may want to classify it with sales discounts, and I'll just hit OK. Now I just have to go back to my IMS, and under this section here, I'm going to type the exact same name as it is in my QuickBooks. Now you can certainly make up all of these names and then enter them all into QuickBooks at once, whatever you'd like. Save yourself time. Okay, and I will just add those other items as well. So down payment is considered a payment type, so you'll want to make sure you classify it as a payment. You can just hit OK. Subtotal can of course be classified as subtotal. And when you get to the newspaper notice, we can actually classify it as a non-inventory part because it doesn't have a specific classification. And you can classify it under any asset account you'd like. Or if you actually have an account at your funeral home, they can specify a different account for you if you'd like. So I will just pick furniture and equipment for now. Okay, and you'll just always want to double check that you have all them in. So discount, newspaper notice, subtotal, down payment. Subtotal, discount, down payment, newspaper notice. The next ones you're going to want to add are the accounts. So before we have added items here, and if you pay attention to the name, these ones are actually accounts. So if you've been using QuickBooks before, you'll already have several of these account names already pre-established. I'm using a new version of QuickBooks, so I've never actually done anything with this company file before. So I have two brand new income accounts here. So if you want to edit any names to make them shorter, you can certainly do that. I'm just going to call mine sales. So that's going to be my primary income account. And I'll just come back to the IMS and make sure sales is typed in. For cost of goods sold, I like to just use the acronym. And for the asset account, I like to use item asset. And of course, I'll do the exact same thing in QuickBooks. So there's already a predefined cost of goods sold, and I will just change that to the one I used in the IMS. And the last one, for the item asset, you can either change one you have or you can go and add a new one. So I'll just add a new one. I'll leave the ones I have there. If you're going to add the item asset, I typically call it an other asset, just so it doesn't have a classification. And I'll call it item asset. So now if you have any problems with your transfers, usually it's because these names don't match the ones that are in QuickBooks. So you just always want to double check to make sure you have everything okay. Okay, and the other thing that usually catches people on this is the taxes. So it's up to you if you want to set up the sales tax now, or if you already have sales tax, you can certainly use whatever you have. So I don't have one set up, so I'm going to call my sales tax here, and I'm going to set a rate of 5%. So if you've already been using QuickBooks, you would already have this set up, so don't even worry about this section. So since my company isn't real, I'm just going to say IRS for now. All right, so the initial setup has started. So now we're just going to try our first ever item push. So you're going to come to your Management tab and go down to where it says QuickBooks here. And you're going to click the link called IMS Item Setup. Now it's at this point that we're going to try to push all of the items that we have in the IMS into our QuickBooks. So we'll just click Create IMS Items, and you'll notice that when you go back to the Web Connector, I usually open up QuickBooks and the Web Connector at the same time. With QuickBooks, we'll just open our items and services, and we'll begin to see the products that will load. So you'll have to open up your Web Connector. Okay, and once you have hit Updated Selected, you'll see that the products will begin loading in the back end of your screen there. So the products will continue to load, and this will take some time. So we're going to cut this video off now, and you'll see the next one will begin after it's done. So this process can take 20 minutes or so, so just please give it some time. And please check on for our next video, where we'll begin once the products are loaded. Thank you.